What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, and 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also host the only online program in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Care. It's also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. And working with those organizations, this year I've been able to reach out directly or indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world. So I'm very humbled by that privilege and that opportunity. You know, on the Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, we love introducing new friends. So a little bit of a backstory here. Back in mid-September, I got an email basically inviting me to be an early adapter to a new app. And I get a lot of these. I got to be honest. I get a few of them. And I'm going, okay. So I read the email, checked it out, and I said, okay, let me give it a whirl. And I said, oh, wow, this app's interesting. They're communicating with me. They're following up with me. They asked me to be a top mentor, which I could say with all the benefits of it, what being a top mentor is on this app, but I'm going to let our friend give all that information. So I joined in. And you know, I love hosting conversations, and you know, the whole world is going social audio wise. There's other apps out there. So let me check it out. Well, I've become a fan. And I know the friend that we have on today, she's going to get mad at me because I've been a little bit too crazy to do more talks on her app, but they're coming. So we are blessed and highly favored today to have Dayo Akinrinade, the founder of Wisdom, with us today from London, England. So here she is, right here, right now. Dayo, how you doing?
I am wonderful, Dr. Vibe. How are you doing?
I am blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem, and fired up because you are here today.
Wonderful.
Good, good, good. How's your day been?
You know, my day has been great. As always, it's all about wisdom and taking care of the various aspects of wisdom. But it's been great. I love it.
Well, I'm very humbled and very excited to have you here because I look at you as a trailblazer, because this is the second startup you've been involved with. Also, Black women in startups. I don't know if I've had a Black lady who has 2 startups under her belt with us. So I'm very excited about this and looking forward to an epic conversation. As I like to do always with my new friends on the Dr. Vibe Show, can you give a little bit of background about yourself?
Sure. So, as you said, and you nicely introduced me, my name is Dayo Akinrinade. I am a tech founder and a woman in tech. I've always been a woman in tech. So, my journey in tech starts with my computer science degree. And then I did a stint in IT management consulting. So, I was a financial services consultant at the Big Four. From there, I moved into the world of startup. My first startup is called Africlick, and Africlick is a dating app globally for people of African heritage. So the way Africlick works, we understand that whether you are from Haiti or Jamaica or Brazil or Nigeria or New York, as long as you believe your roots trace back to Africa, uh, go and use Africlick and use it to connect to your culture, use it to connect with people who are from your culture. That is my first startup. Now, while I was working on Africlick, social audio became a thing. I was previously not much of a social media person, but maybe similar to you, Dr. Vibe, I really resonated with social audio. And that was the beginning of the journey of wisdom. And, you know, aside from that, what else is to say about me as a woman in tech? As you possibly might be able to hear from my accent, I am UK, I am British, but I'm also Nigerian as well. So there's very much that duality of culture.
Wonderful. I want to find out from you, where did your interest in tech start? Where did that fire, that passion begin to be interested in tech?
I've thought about this a lot. For me, it goes back to childhood. right? So when I was very young, my mother was studying for a PhD in London, and she was doing statistical analysis. And this was a while ago. And the way she would do her research, she would program out the stats she wanted to run on a punch card, like a piece of card. Then I would go with her to the computing room at the university. It was London School of Economics. Then students were not allowed in the computer room because it was big, expensive equipment. So like when we think about it today, anyone can touch the computers. So she would give her analysis to the person manning the computing, and then we would go back in a week and they would give her the result. Then she would take the result and do her work. And I'm sure a lot of us can relate. When you're younger, you're learning from your parents by osmosis, right? Just them being around. And I just always remembered her doing this big computing thing. And so when I think back, I actually think that's where it started.
Nice. How much of an impact has your mother been in your life, personally and professionally?
To be honest, probably far too much. When sometimes you have that moment as an adult and you're like, am I turning into my mother? Oh no. Like that type of thing. Probably too much. But no, I think yeah, absolutely. And and this is tapping into perhaps my Nigerian heritage side, where it's a very hands-on, directional, shall we say, disciplined style of parenting. And there's a very sort of high expectation that is set, and there's a lot of molding and influencing. So yeah, I would say very, very influential.
I can relate, even though from the other side of the world, my parents have a Jamaican heritage, so I get it. You get it? You
Very
feel
similar.
me? All right, we feel it. Absolutely. So younger days of schooling, before you got into intensive schooling, did you know that you wanted to get into tech before you took like studies in university or thing like that? Or was that something that came as you got older? Was there a light bulb that came on when you were younger with the environment and especially your mother's influence saying, this is what I want to do?
I think I always knew I enjoyed it when dial-up internet became a thing. And again, because I think some of this does come down to like background and luck. I was lucky I had the kind of parents where even though it was a very new thing with the AOL disk, they were like, we have to have this. We have to kind of learn about this, because that was an
You,
exciting time where you
you
would
know, you
dial
know,
up.
you know, hold on a second. Some people who are watching this will have no idea what you just said. AOL
Oh.
disk. I can relate.
So do we have to break down? This was dial-up internet, right? The first stage of home internet, where there was something called a floppy disk. It was a CD, and it would, at least in our case, it would come through the post, and it was a different time, right? Because we were all figuring out somebody says she remembered. That's the thing. I didn't want to make the noise. We were all kind of figuring it out. And then particularly within the UK, because I feel within the UK, we're usually a few months behind America as well, right? Because think about it, from the UK, we were using America Online. We didn't have Britain online. We were just kind of working it out. So to your point, I just think always enjoyed computers. And then it was a mixture of that, and then liked maths, liked science, liked logic. First of all, I thought I wanted to be an engineer. Luckily for me, I attended a weekend. So sometimes like the universities offered something where you go for a weekend. So you think you want to study engineering, come from a weekend before you join and experience what it's like. So I did it at, I think, Imperial College London and Loughborough University. I knew from those weekends I did not want to do engineering. Like the lab just had these big, bulky, dusty machines, and it was just all this machinery and stuff. So it was more of a process of like elimination. And you know what? I think those weekends are great. More universities need to offer that, because you have a taster of what you think you want to do. So computing was kind of once I eliminated engineering, it was computing.
How did your parents respond to you making that choice, saying computing is what I want to do?
So yes, let's culturally, and this is and those people who, and I know a lot of cultures sort of have this, Nigerian parents they are very directional in what they want their children to do, and there's a short list of things which they expect you to study. Engineering, we go law, accountancy. And we think of they like the subjects that there's a qualification. You've got that. They like the subject where
a profession. In my household was you need a profession.
A profession, yes, with that look, right? A profession.
Yes.
So in my case with technology, it almost didn't quite fit, but I think they also understood that we understood tech was the future. And it helped that it was close to engineering. So yes, so they were happy with that.
They gave you a pass, right? They gave you a pass.
Yes, no, they did.
Nice.
They did.
One of our viewers saying tech gals are rock stars, and the same lady is saying, "Gas, I attended Imperial College, SUNY Oswego London program." Okay,
amazing. Yeah, Imperial are great.
Yes, good stuff. So you get into university, you say, how was the university studies? How did that go for you? Was it an easy experience? Was it a challenging experience?
I would say in the first week, we realized out of about 500 people on the degree, and it was about 11 women. So that was, first of all, just a shock. Like,
right.
Whoa, what is, kind of what is going on here? But it was an amazing experience. I mean, university in of itself, of course, you're away from home, you can do what you want. But then in terms of the study as well, it was great to, you learn, like when you take a computer apart and all of the different parts and architecture and networking, and it's really about teaching the fundamentals and the foundations of computing. And then what I love is that not that much has changed today. So when we're talking about AI and this, and you can kind of read it and you're like, it's not changed too much. So no, it was great.
Good. You mentioned there were only 11 women, and how many of those women were women of color?
See, of course, I can remember that straight. I can remember that straight off the bat. So there was myself and one other Black girl, and then one other Black girl, and then the rest were a mixture of South Asian, and then a couple of English girls as well. But yeah, just one other.
2 out of 500.
Yes, 2. And then for
how
the
many
men,
years?
there was one other Black. 4. I mean, it was a sandwich degree, so 3 taught years, 1 working year. So yeah.
Was there any time during that journey you wanted to quit?
No. Nigerian parents quitting. If I quit university, I would need to just run away and disappear, because there wouldn't have been a space for me back home.
Oh my goodness.
You don't quit, you don't change your degree. It's like, so no, I mean, overall, it was a great experience. And some of it was about study. I realized quite quickly some of it was about social skills. You make friends. I would make friends with the people who would do every assignment. You needed to like get, every assignment had like a bonus section. So I just made friends with the people who were gonna do the bonus sections, and you just get them to sort of teach you. I think a big part of it, at least for a computing degree, a big part of it, well, maybe like many other degrees, it's not just what you learn in the lecture. You need to explore afterwards and sort of self-teach and learn from the exploration. So I just made sure I made friends with the people who liked to do the exploring afterwards.
Nice. And how was the moment when you graduated? Can you remember that moment?
Yeah, I do because I think my mother made it because my parents are pretty much based in Nigeria. So my mother flew in. And yeah, I mean, I say it was probably more emotional. It's probably more emotional for her than it was me, as you know, as you can imagine. So it was. I feel like the graduation was almost more for the parents. Do you know what I mean? Because they sort of have that sense of relief. Like our work is done. We've got you through the milestones that we need to get you through. And then, with Nigerian culture as well, there is an expectation that your children are an investment and we're going to skill you up. And once you get skilled, we're going to reap the benefits, kind of this work afterwards. So, that they're like, you're going to look after us in our old age. And I'm sure you probably have similar with, Jamaican culture as
Oh,
well. Like your
oh
parents
yeah.
investing you. They're
Well,
like,
I
you're
had
my
a little.
retirement plan.
Well, well, absolutely. Yeah, I'll give you a little backstory on myself. Uh, my dad wanted me to become an accountant, and let's put it this way: I quit the accounting program after half year.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but yeah, don't worry, I'm still alive. But but what the good thing about it is, I told him, look, I don't like it. I wasn't doing well in it, but that
Mhm.
forced me to do. I finished the rest of my university, and I paid for it myself.
I'm not surprised because they were probably like, I'm not paying for anything anymore.
And just to add on top of it, Dio, my father was a public school teacher in the same public school for 38 years.
Wow, that's a
So
testament. That's service. That is service.
yes, but sometimes I felt like I was more his student than his son.
Not surprised, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
So
you
it was so I can fully relate about the Nigerian environment, very similar Jamaican environment, profession, profession, profession. Like, so I fully get it. I fully get it. And yeah, when I graduated, it was more for my parents than for me. Well, I'm glad. And no, it was for me because I spent my own money to do this. I didn't ask them for anything. I did it all by myself. I actually worked at my school when I was going to school because I said, there's no way they're going to charge me. Let me, if I'm going to pay them, they're going to pay them with, I'm going to pay with their money, not my money.
and just out of curiosity, what did you switch to? What is it a major or
Political
what degree
science
did you
and
switch to?
political science and sociology. Then I took a year program in public relations after that.
I love it. And can I just say, like, and I think culturally it's great with our respective cultures. I feel it's getting a little bit more flexible now, right? Like you can, as some of the people I know who have younger people, like people they'll say, oh, I'm studying art, I'm studying, politics, like more things are being allowed now. And it's important, right? Because when you can leaning into your strengths, things just come so much more easily.
Yeah. So it says here after you graduate, you started at Accenture and Deloitte. Those are pretty serious companies. How did you get in there so good?
Great question. I think so my degree was it's what's known as a sandwich degree. And I specifically chose a sandwich degree. So with a sandwich degree, it is 4 years, but you must spend your third year working in industry. And and the place where you work, your school has to approve the placement, right? So you can't just go and, well, I don't know, do nothing for a year. So, and I specifically chose that degree because it also helped financially as well, because it means you can take a year out of your degree, earn money, and then when you graduate, you're not in that much debt. So I think that helped a lot in terms of because I did we call it an industrial placement. I did that at Accenture, And then when you do it there and they like you, they said, we'll give you a contract to come and work for us as soon as you graduate. So for my final year, I already knew I had a job to go to. So that worked, it worked perfectly. That's how we got the start.
Excellent. And what sort of, and Anna's saying smart pre-planning.
I love it. Hey,
Well
Anna.
done. Well done. How long, okay, how long were you there and what experiences did you learn from those environments?
So approximately, it was about three plus six, so a little bit over 6 years. And
Wow.
what did I learn? I mean, professionally, management consulting is great. I advise any young person to try it, even if you think you don't want to be a career consultant all your life. They teach you problem solving, flexible thinking, working in the absence of incomplete information to bring certainty, communication, uh, just being able to present well, speak well, graphic design, numbers, like on anyone. I think, with a consultant, on any one day, no 2 days are the same, no two clients are the same. You get to work in different industries and just kind of get a peek in, like, okay, this is what it's like. So, I mean, a few examples. I'm trying to think of the most, not weirdest, but unexpected. Daimler Chrysler, Mercedes Benz, spent a couple of months there shadowing their after sales service to try and in essence, they have all these after sales services, right? You buy your Mercedes, you take it back to Mercedes to get serviced. And then they have customer care ratings. Are you satisfied? So we were
Mm-hmm.
analyzing all of these places to try and work out, why does this location get great ratings and this location doesn't get great ratings? Doing all of these time and motion studies. So from when you arrive with your car, they offer you the coffee, you sit in the room with the glass so you can watch them working on your car, something happy. And in the end, we just found out that it was tied into wealth. So the customers who had stretched themselves financially to buy a Mercedes then subsequently discovered the engineering rate. And I can't remember the exact number, but let's just pretend it was maybe $110 an hour. They were
Right.
like $110 an hour. So they were never going to give a good satisfaction rating from the aftercare because the perceived cost of the maintenance of the Mercedes was too high. Whereas for the people who could financially comfortably afford it, they were fine. So we realized it wasn't really to do with the staff and the jobs or the layout of the service center. It was to do with the resources, the finance that the customer had and the owner had. So I mean, that's just like a funny like little story, because they realized that sometimes, when you buy expensive things, it's the maintenance. It's not just being able to afford it. It's like, can you afford to like comfortably, kind of maintain it? But I mean, aside from that, I did a stint at the Ministry of Defense, understanding about aircraft and logistics and how you maintain them, banks. So learned a load of things there. Something else that I also learned there was that I realized I didn't want to stay to climb the ladder. And a big reason I didn't want to stay, it was a lack of diversity. It was a lack of looking further up the chain to the senior people. I think like at the time when I was there, like the most senior leadership is like the equity partnership. There were no Black partners. There was nobody who had made it there. Absolutely not. So I couldn't see people like me who had progressed. I also saw that, the more senior you get, it becomes about sales, it becomes about relationships. And a lot of the relationships, as far as I can see, they were based on what can we relate to. So if we're both two senior men, maybe in our early 50s, they would relate on sport, they would relate on where their children were being educated. And I was like, can't relate to any of these things. I'm not going to be able to relate to you on that particularly, or yeah, I could go and learn golf, I suppose, but so yeah, so I think and then part of me also just felt I started to feel like I could do more. I love the role, love the travel, love the benefits, but I was always left with this feeling that I think I can do more. I think the amount of learning which I'm going to get here, like I've maxed out on the learning. I know enough to go and try and do something else. And then that was what led to me to then look at startup, right? And transition out of management consulting. I had like another quite biggish surprise where as I left management consulting and moved into like the tech startup ecosystem, which is, it's just more of an ecosystem of bodies and people and startups. I was very surprised by the lack of diversity in London, tech startup founders. Founders who were existing, founders who were raising finance, who were able to access finance. And that surprised me because I felt that there was, by comparison, corporate was a little bit more diverse. And I thought it was going to be the other way around. I felt that entrepreneurship is a leveler, there's less barriers. So I was like, why aren't I seeing more people from underrepresented areas? So that was what led me to co-found a program along with a number of other bodies in London. It's called the OneTech program, still running today. And to date, it is London's largest diversity in startups program. So yeah, it's OneTech all in one word. So the essence of OneTech was saying that London is a diverse city, but when we look at the range of people who are doing tech startups and accessing funding, it's not as diverse as London is. So there was a lack of representation of women, ethnic minorities, people who didn't have degrees, because to us, you shouldn't need a degree to start a business, really. And then there was a lack of people who were immigrants or children of immigrants. And then from socioeconomically, there was a lack of working class people as well. And so that was a project that I worked on along with a number of other bodies. It was backed by the JP Morgan Chase Foundation. And one of the key findings that came out of the program was one of the reasons for the lack of diversity was a lack of access to mentoring. So to kind of explain further, if you're an individual and an individual has an idea, I don't know, I want to build tech for legal firms. Let's say somebody has that idea, right? What you need to do quite early on in that process is go and interview some legal firms. You need to interview people in the legal firms who are senior enough who would be potential buyers of this thing that you want to build, because they also need to see that this is a problem, right? And a problem that they would pay to get solved. And so what we found with underrepresented founders, but they weren't able to access the mentoring early on to get the information to build the right solution. So we would find maybe there were minority founders, and maybe, for example, they built something for the law firm, but by the time we would help within the program to get them in front of a law firm, they were like, oh, this isn't really a big problem for us. But if you solve this problem, we would pay you today. We would even pay you a deposit in advance because this is the problem that is keeping us up at night. And so, yeah, I put that down to like, it's the lack of access to mentorship, the lack of access to networks. We also found that LinkedIn doesn't work well for mentoring. LinkedIn is designed for you to connect with people who are already within your network. If you inbox somebody on LinkedIn who maybe looks senior, hey, could I buy you a coffee? Could we have a call? Like, they don't know you from Adam. Oftentimes, they don't even look in their mailbox. You'll look at the top few of people you know, but the people you don't know, you skip over it. LinkedIn doesn't provide any way to filter requests from people you don't know, unless it's a warm introduction. Unless I say, oh, Dr. Vibe, please have a conversation with this young man who wants to get into broadcasting, and tell him I sent you. Then you're gonna have the conversation because it's a warm introduction, but not everybody has that privilege, right? And so I think this evolves in knowledge and networks. They're kept in closed privileged circles. And so that's what led to the idea around wisdom in saying, hey, wisdom can to facilitate accenturing. We can help to connect experts, people who have the knowledge, people who are seeking the knowledge. So through the wisdom app, let's say we were talking about building a business or career advice, wisdom helps people to have conversations with experts who they may never be able to access in real life. You might not know them, you might not know who they are. But with wisdom and social, as you talk, it's a one-to-one conversation. There's an audience of listeners, they listen in. If anyone in the audience has a timed segment with the expert, and it is timed because time is money, time is important, and it allows experts to take questions from a pool of listeners. And then, of course, the conversation is recorded, because I think a lot of us know from learning that just by listening to somebody being mentored, you can learn so much. It doesn't even have to be you being mentored, right? You can listen to a conversation and benefit from that advice secondhand. So, I think what makes wisdom different, because of course there's a lot of social audio apps at the moment right now. There you go, talk live with experts on everything, and with wisdom, it's that connectivity. Okay, so we have up around monetization. I think that's something else that's worth speaking about as well, right? Because I think we've discussed wisdom from the side of the listener, the person who is there to learn, right? But what about the expert? So with wisdom, I definitely have this problem. I don't know if you have this problem, Dr. Vibe, where somebody's always wanting to pick your brain. Hey, I have this idea. Hey, I have this show I want to start. And they want to drain all of this energy out of your brain to be brainstorming. And sometimes the person is serious. Sometimes they just want to brainstorm, but it's not going
Exactly.
to turn into anything. And I think a lot of experts are challenged to monetize what they know, monetize their expertise. And where wisdom comes, who wants to build their personal brand, you can make a profile on wisdom, and you can give talks and share your knowledge. As soon as you go live on wisdom and you talk, the conversation, and when you finish your talk, it's saved. So you as an expert can build up a library of talks, a library about what you know. And then you have a link to your wisdom profile. So, and this is something I've done now where sometimes a girl will DM me, hi, I'm getting started in tech. I would love to talk to you. I send them a link to my wisdom talk. Oh, I already spoke about this. Go and listen. Um, and follow me. And the next time I go live on wisdom, you will get a notification. And maybe you can hop up and talk to me for 5 minutes to ask your question. And I've mentored you, and the talks are recorded. So, of course, with wisdom, the talks live on. So, I think with wisdom, I think it's this amazing duality where on one side people can come to seek knowledge, but on the other hand, as an expert, you can use wisdom to build your personal brand, right? So of course, if somebody visits your Instagram or the videos or YouTube, but wisdom is really about giving these talks short to medium form audio content. And then, the other part as well, I know you scrolled through earlier on the page, is around the mentor coin as well, right? So something that I think is very cool on Wisdom that I haven't really seen on any other social audio app is that our mentors in essence, we have a virtual in-app currency called MentorCoin. And the talkers or the mentors earn MentorCoin in proportion to the number of listening minutes that they accumulate. So the more people listen to you, the longer that they listen to you for, you earn MentorCoin. And once you reach a certain amount of MentorCoin, you can switch it out through the app for a gift card. And that gift card is redeemable at a number of outlets. So places like Target or Amazon, or you can donate your cash or your gift card. You can donate it to charity. So, we do have some very wealthy mentors on Wisdom who, like the $25 gift card for them, they're like, I just want to donate it to charity. So, depending on where you are in the scale, you may decide to buy yourself a coffee, put it towards like your next Amazon purchase, or donate it. But I think, what is key in the intention around the mentor coin is it's Wisdom's way of acknowledging creators, thanking them for the time that they are spending on the app creating, saying, if you give a great talk on Wisdom, like we should at least buy you a cup of coffee. So I think, creators are not going to retire off MentorCoin or get rich of MentorCoin, but it's at least a marker for the time that you spend creating on the platform. Because I think today you could post and post and post on Instagram. Instagram doesn't say thank you. You don't actually get most on Facebook. The platform, they don't reward. Most platforms, I think, are focused on rewarding what we call the creator upper class, people with 500,000 or more followers. When you get into the millions of followers, those platforms reward you and you reap the benefits. But there's something called the creator middle class, people with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, people who are dedicated and working really hard to produce quality content, but they don't necessarily get seen. The algorithms don't prioritize them. There's no reward for the creation process. But that is, something that is, that I felt it was very important for Wisdom that we launched with some form of reward for the creators.
You're wonderful, because I was going to ask about some of the background of Wisdom. You covered it all. I want to ask a few questions, though. When you came up with the idea of Wisdom, and we're getting a little bit of feedback, we can deal with it. It's all right. In that, did it ever in your mind say, okay, there are other social audio apps? Actually, you know what? Let me hold that. What is it? What is your definition of social audio? Let me ask that. What is your definition of social audio?
Okay, so for me, it's I like to, the longer version, live drop-in social audio. That's the definition for me, because it's the live drop-in part that I love. It's the serendipity. It's that you can be, sometimes I go live on Wisdom. We have a top mentor who's in Hawaii, and he speaks about the ancient traditions and the customs. And then in the background, I'll hear the rooster going. And I'm like, that sound reminds me of home.
Yes.
the rooster in the back. So it's like the rooster is dropping in. But yeah, to me, it's about not just social audio, but it's the live drop in social audio. So it's communicating through voice only. I think voice is possibly the oldest form of human communication. Stories around the campfire. It's how everything started. So yeah, I see live drop in social audio as we're stripping everything back to the rawest, most simple form of communication. I also think with social audio, from a creator perspective, it represents an opportunity for maybe even people like me. I wasn't great on Instagram with taking the good pictures, or Twitter with the hot takes, or Facebook. I wasn't a social media person, but when social audio became a thing, I'm like, you mean all I have to do is talk? It doesn't matter how I look. it doesn't matter how my home looks. Is my home Instagrammable? Is it beautiful enough? All that matters, I don't have to buy all this equipment, the cameras, the ring light. I just have to talk into my phone, and people are going to listen. My voice is going to carry the emotion, the authenticity. And then, and one other thing I'll add around my definition of social audio, I think it's very interconnected with podcasting now. And maybe even, to an extent, where I guess we are live streaming as well, but particularly with podcasting, I think it's very interconnected. In the early days of Wisdom, I found that we had a lot of podcasters on the platform, and they were like, oh, if they said, well, if I'm having somebody to guest on my podcast today, I need to invite them to the studio and we have to coordinate that. Or maybe we'll do it over Zoom or another tool, and then I'll get the sound files. I don't know exactly what they do, layer the sound files, and they'll make the recording. But they were like, we could just do this on Wisdom. We can both download the app, we can record a podcast, and we can have live unexpected people drop into the podcast, or we can take reactions, right? If I do an interview on Wisdom, I take live reactions afterwards from the people who have listened in. Everyone's on that high. Everybody has the questions after the interview, So I think for the podcast community, they're finding a special home on Wisdom. They are part of the reason why, from listening to their feedback, that as a creator on Wisdom, when you complete your talk, you can download the talk. You can download the file for that talk and then repurpose that talk wherever you will. Just last week, we rolled out a feature where we have increased the audio quality of the talks. So it's now a high fidelity podcast. Hey, you see, from the technical audio people. So now they're not sacrificing. The good one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. No, I
so
think that's really good. Let me ask, just going back in the history, from the time, who was the first person you shared your idea of Wisdom with, and what was their reaction?
Well, that's a really...
If you remember.
Yeah, and to be fair, like, it was, sometimes with ideas, sometimes it's not the one, the light bulb and everything. It pretend the light bulb is on a dimmer, and then it gets brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. So for me, if I look back, there were a few key moments where I spoke about the OneTech program, where the objective was, let us increase the diversity of tech founders in London who are getting funded. As part of the program, we started a mentoring work stream because, as I said before, we realized a big part of the problem was the lack of access to mentoring. I wasn't running the work stream, but it was a parallel work stream. We quickly found out mentoring programs are challenging to run. They have a low success rate. You have to build up the mentors on one side, the people to be menteed. You have to match them. They have to schedule a meeting. They both have to show up to the meeting. And then after the meeting, who's going to get feedback? Is this working? Is this not working? So there was always a problem stuck in my mind around mentoring and how can we, do you know what I mean? How can we 10x mentoring? How can we make it more accessible, more democratized? So, that was a point in my mind. Social audio was there. And I was so excited by social audio. I knew I wanted to do something. So then the two just kind of came together.
Nice. From the time you thought about Wisdom to it going live, what period of time was that?
So it was a thought in my mind around summer last year. First kind of, we talk about the first line of code and start building. That was around January. And then that brings us through to today. And then the other thing I'll actually ask around, discussing your ideas, right? Because we're also speaking around entrepreneurship as well. Sometimes, depending on who you talk to, people may not believe the idea, or they think you're crazy, or Why would that work? And so oftentimes it's like you have to know, like in your head and have this inner conviction until you can get other people to, start to use it.
Great. What was the process in choosing the initial top mentors? Because as I said in the beginning of our conversation, I got this email. I knew, I go, how did they find me? Well, like I went, my goodness, like I'm humbled. But I said, well, and because I like to find out the process. How did you initially pick, if you're able to share that, how you picked those initial first mentors that got there early in on the app?
Yeah, so I would say, very careful research. We have because we also had to not just identify people. I would say research, looking at people's listener statistics, but also listening for the content and the positivity. It's not everyone who gets great numbers who is necessarily also positive, right? Like you can go very far off trolling and negativity.
Right.
And ultimately with wisdom, what we've built, we're only 5 weeks in, very new, but
Yeah.
uh wisdom is a community of helpful people. Everyone there wants to share their knowledge, they want to help, they want to give back. And so that was also an important factor as well.
Take me back to the day you went public. I'm sure you can't forget that. What
Ooh,
was
should we
that
say
first
live?
live?
I was gonna say let's use, because when we say public, I'm like, have we IPO?
Okay, let me put it this way. So
you
well, how was the
you will
first
give me
day when it went live?
when we went. That's the thing. It's been just over 5 weeks. It feels like 5 months. So let me cast my brain all the way back. Okay. Bearing in mind we were in a private beta, right? For a period of time before we opened it up into the world. So there was a collective feeling of excitement from within the wisdom community, because I didn't feel like it was just wisdom going live. It felt like as a community of people, we were throwing the doors open, to the world, to rush in. And look, it was a great day. It was more than I could have hoped for, because at this stage, we're not throwing a ton of resources at marketing and things like that. A lot of this, is organic, but there was a great buzz. There was a great buzz on Clubhouse. People were like, what is this? The Wisdom app, we need to be on Wisdom. So yeah, it was great.
Fantastic. Did uh, did you feel intimidated by other social apps that had such a bigger footprint than yours when you started? Like, did you?
Mm.
But because I'm a firm believer, there's room for everybody. So did you go in with that mindset?
Absolutely. Yeah, so no intimidation. There's room for everybody. I believe, particularly with social audio, I think we still have so much more to see from social audio. So I believe we are going to see multiple use cases of social audio, both across large existing platforms, so like LinkedIn and Facebook, which we're aware they're building, their audio solutions. We're also going to have standalone solutions like Wisdom. So I think what is just important is to have a particular utility, right, for your app. Clubhouse absolutely, I think, has put this stamp in the ground. They've opened up the space. I think we can say, Clubhouse it's a place where you have a lot of people talking about a lot of different things, um, different types of conversations, like everything lives there. Whereas with Wisdom, it's a very specific community of helpful people and people who have knowledge. So, and I think, yeah, like not dissimilar to social media today, people open up different apps depending on how they feel and what they want to achieve. So, we need Wisdom to be that safe space where people are going to seek wisdom or to give, to give back. But then particularly also for creators and for professionals. And we have a great community of creators and professionals. As I said, only 5 weeks in, but professionals are closing deals through wisdom. Yeah, and that's news, because sometimes you may have the question. Sometimes people ask me, "Oh, what does success look like for wisdom?" And for me, it's going to be when we're helping millions of people, helping people to move the needle in their lives. Whether you're moving the needle because you've spoken to a health practitioner, or spiritually because you've spoken to someone, or maybe your social media game. It's going to be when we've helped millions of people, but not just the listeners, also from whether it's the business owners, the mentors. We also need to help them grow their business and achieve their objectives, right? That's what's going to keep people coming back, which is also worth mentioning, because of course we spoke about the mentor coin, right? And mentor coin is one of the ways we reward creators on wisdom. One of our priority features, which we're working on, will be how to help creators monetize through wisdom. So by monetize, like actual payments, like regular currency. And I don't know exactly what that's going to look like today, but we are building in a function where people could pay through wisdom to have one-to-one dedicated private
Wow.
consultations through audio.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'd love to have a back channel conversation about that. I'd like to provide some. Well, I can communicate with you digitally, but yeah, that's I had no idea about that. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
That
I
is
think
really
I think yeah, I feel like it's going to be the I feel like it's going to be the future. Sometimes I think when you connect with a professional over social audio or social media, there's a few steps to closing the deal, right? Or the sale. You might DM, you will exchange details, you've got to schedule a meeting, you've got to show up to the meeting. But why can't it be that I'm listening to you, I've heard some of your talks, maybe I've guested and had a quick 5 minutes, but now I'm like, I want to book you to actually let's have like a
yeah.
consultation, but book you straight through the app, not
Wow.
going offline and going through all of those steps, because people get lost through those steps
Yeah.
sometimes.
Well, again, you want to make it as easy as possible. Ease of use. Friend of the Dr. Vibe Show, Tim Frey says, "Great job. I'll be a big supporter of your app." All right,
Thank
this is
you,
good. This is
Tim.
good. Well, and I'm not going to take up too much of your time because I know time is the most important thing you have. So a few, actually, I'll have some questions to the audience. I'll end off with one or two myself. So have a question here. Seeing that your family heavily influenced your educational decisions, is your educational run was more up to you? What field would you have gone into? Curious to know.
That's a good. That's a really good question. That's difficult. I was one of those when I was younger. I didn't particularly know what I wanted to do. I tried a number of things. So I'm honestly going to say I don't know. At one point, I thought I wanted to do public relations. So I did work experience for a week at a public relations firm. I remember because it was in Condé Nast House, which is the same company of Vogue. So I wasn't at Vogue, but we were in the building. And I thought I wanted to do public relations, but I spent the whole week looking through magazines and cutting out pictures of celebrities and then sticking them onto something. And that was all they had me doing for the whole week. So I was like, if this is public relations, so what would I actually don't know. I mean, maybe I
Okay.
would have done maybe business studies, because I do think that does give a great general overview in terms of a bit of law, a bit of accounting, a bit of all of the different aspects that you need to run a business. So actually, maybe I think it would have been business studies.
Okay. Same person is asking, seeing that tech is the wave of the future and the here and now, what books or web links do I start viewing at this time?
That is an interesting one. I recommend, I don't know if you're on Medium already, but I recommend Medium. I think you get about 5 free articles a month, which should be plenty enough. But I recommend Medium. And Medium is a blog, right? So it's not a book. But then it means it gets updated so much faster. And there are a number of tech leaders who will, a number of tech leaders use Medium, right, to build their personal brands, to talk about what they see coming next. So yeah, I recommend Medium.
And the same person has another question for you. We have, as tech advances, what more can we expect in tech in the next 10 years, which is only 120 months away?
Months away, oh my gosh. So I mean, I guess, and that's the thing, because sometimes some things are waves of the moment, and then we need to see. So, for example, NFTs. How far is that going to go? I mean, I do think it's the metaverse. I don't think we have a choice, particularly in terms of, I've noticed all of my apps have updated. I think the interconnectedness, I think we still have more to see from IoT as well, although maybe the metaverse is almost the new IoT, Internet of Things in a
Okay.
way.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Internet of Things was like saying there's going to be a device in everything, and my microwave is going to talk to, I don't know, some some other device, and everything is going to talk to everyone, and maybe that's not evolved. So yeah, I think it's the metaverse. I'm a data person.
Same here.
So, oh, are you okay? Yes, I think data, personal data.
Yeah, for me, the future, especially in business, is two things: collaboration and data.
Okay.
Another new fan we have here. As a mom of a 9-year-old who's obsessed with tech and coding, I applaud you for helping to pave the way for future Black female entrepreneurs in the tech space. App looks amazing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. And I love that you've got a 9-year-old already obsessed with tech and coding. That is so great. That is so great.
Yeah, in light of you being a trailblazer, in my opinion, when it comes to Black women in tech, do you have a message you'd like to share with Black women who are in tech at this time, or even Black women like the 9-year-old that we just showcased? What would a message you would have, or messages would you have for them?
I would say she doesn't need to do it all by herself. Reach out to organizations. It doesn't matter that she's 9. There'll be organizations for children or organizations with adults who want to help. And maybe even to her mom listening in, let's connect her to organizations, because there are, Black Girls Code, there's so many groups out there, and they have women like me, and literally all we want to do is to give back and to help and to try and make it easier for other people coming up, to level the playing field. Because I sometimes people like to say, oh, just work harder, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and they're not acknowledging the fact that oftentimes some people who are very successful in tech, it's because they had access to resources and to networks. But then when they make it, they don't say, oh, I'm here because, do you know what I mean? My parents were able to make a phone call and get me to the. They didn't say that. When they interview them, they're like, oh, it just happened. It was organic. And then regular people like us, we're here like, oh, it's meant to be that easy. Why isn't it that easy? So I just want to say she doesn't have to do it on her own. Reach out. There's so many opportunities, funded opportunities, coding camps, and yeah, just let her immerse. That's what I'm going to say.
Two more conversation pieces. First of all, can you share a special moment that you have experienced during the wisdom journey?
So I mean, so I have done some really great high profile interviews on Wisdom.
Yes.
Some most recently James Masters, who is a Hollywood actor, best known for playing Spike in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and also roles in Torchwood and Smallville. I also interviewed the musician, the saxophonist, the jazz musician Kenny G, which was amazing, and then also Andre, what is his Andre the Hawk, who is a Major League Baseball player.
Andre Dawson.
Dawson, that's it. Andre Dawson, aka the Hawk. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily going to say in terms of favorites, but I think with the Andre Dawson interview, I learned the most because he had a great, amazing 12-year career, and now he runs a funeral home in Miami through the pandemic. And from speaking to him, it fully came out that his theme in his life was being of service and community leadership. There was the service and the entertainment. He said, I entertained people through baseball. And there was so much curiosity as to why a funeral home. And he explained, I have enough money. This isn't about the money. He said that this is about the community. And it was a Black-owned funeral home. And it wasn't meeting the right building codes and regulations. So it was, I don't know, derelict.
Yeah.
And they took it on. But he said, I took this on for the community. He said that he spoke to the local pastors. Like, what do you think? Should we? And he's like, that's why he did it. And that, and of course, not just to me, to everyone listening in, I think it really struck a chord in terms of saying, he has all the success, he has all of the fame, but what do you do next after professional sports? He's still doing service. And so I would say that, Andre Dawson was that was a moment because I was also getting wisdom, from him. I'm learning every time I speak on wisdom. I learn something, and that's how I know it's a great place to be.
Great. What are you excited about going forward for the Wisdom app?
Wow, I mean, I'm excited for all of the. Still going to do more interviews. I'm excited. I love the one-to-one interview format on Wisdom. I love that Wisdom is a conversation, maximum with two people at the same time. One of the most popular questions and features I get asked is, will you expand it? Can we have 3 people talking? Can you have 4 people talking? Yeah, so to people listening in, the very first screen where you can see 2 people. Because when 2 people talk, it allows you to go deep. It pulls us to that North Star metric of conversations that matter when it's just 2 people. So I'm looking forward to more in-depth conversations. I love interviewing people because you can just peel back and and get to the layers. So I think there's that. I'm excited for our Android version. So we are currently iOS only, but Android phones matter, as they say. Like, I
There's
know
more of
Android.
them in the world.
There really is, and with myself being Nigerian as well, trust me, nobody gets it more than me. Like, iPhone is extremely expensive for a lot of geographies. Extremely, and Androids are great. So I'm very excited for Android because, and again, this democratization of information. Let's make it so that anyone can get onto Wisdom. So I'm excited for that because that's going to be a wave of people, and I'm not sure if Android people are different, let's say, but, if there's going to be a different Android personality. So I'm excited for that. And as I said, I'm also very excited around the helping our creators monetize through social audio, because I haven't seen that done through social audio before. And so those are the things.
Well, you know what? I want to say thank you for all you have done. all you are doing and you will be doing. And I want you to give props to your wisdom team, because I know you're small, but you're mighty.
That's what we say, small but mighty team. Some of them may be listening and now streaming in the background. So guys, keep going.
Wonderful. What can our audience do to help wisdom?
A great question. So first of all, if you're not already on Wisdom, the link has kindly been provided here. So you can click or just go to the Apple Store and search for Wisdom. We will come up. And the best thing people can do is share the content. The content on Wisdom is extremely shareable. If you are listening to a talk, and also let me just ensure I emphasize, and we have the screens up to explain. So I make sure, because there's so many features of Wisdom. You can use Wisdom two ways, right? There's Wisdom Live, where you can listen into the live talks, as you've got to hover there. And then slightly to the right in the middle, there is the best of wisdom. So as the talks are recorded, we index them under category for the best of wisdom. So you can listen back to the talks in your own time. Now, the best thing that people can do to support is to share wisdom talks. If you're listening to the best of wisdom pre-recorded talks, there's a share button. If you're listening to live, there is also a share button. When you share a wisdom talk, what actually happens is if anyone puts that talk into their web browser, they can play the talk through the browser, which I just think is the most genius feature that we need to shout about like more and more and more. You can broadcast your talks live through the browser. You can play talks back through the browser. It's like a mini player in your browser. So where I say the best thing people can do to help is to share, because even when you share a link with someone, hey, check this out, they don't have to have Wisdom installed. Once they click on the link, it's going to open up their Safari, their Chrome, whatever they use, and they can share they can play the content, and then maybe from listening to the content, they will decide to download Wisdom. So yeah, the best thing people can do to help, I think, is to share. Share on social media.
And I think that's a beautiful message, not only for wisdom, but in life in general.
Very true. If you find something good, don't keep it to yourself.
Yeah,
share the blessings.
Share
That's
it.
So true.
And even if it's not good, you want to share it to tell people this is not good.
But then when you send the link and you're like, don't click on this, it's not good.
Well, that is fantastic. So you know what? I want to say thank you so much for taking the time. Folks, this conversation took a lot of back planning and scheduling to get done, because she's a beautiful and very positive, productive, not busy, positive, productive lady. So I really appreciate it. And you know that you have a home here anytime you want to announce anything, you please think of us first.
Amazing. And I mean, Dr. Vibe, as well, thank you for having me. Thank you for asking. It's an honor. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I've thoroughly relaxed and enjoyed this.
Well, from one host of a conversation to another, yeah, why not? Why not? Why not? Like, that's fantastic. And I know people are going to ask, so I'm going to do it really quick. They're going to ask how probably the best place. Is it better to follow you on Twitter or Instagram or both?
Okay, so you can find Wisdom everywhere. We are at Join Wisdom, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. So we're really everywhere.
Yes, you are. So I'm going to just put up again. I'm going to just put the ones that people most use, Twitter or Instagram. Those are there. Now, if you want to follow our wonderful friend on Instagram.
Yes. Oh, you've got it right there. Instagram.
I'm equipped. I have to be equipped. And I'm also just in the real time also going to share her on Twitter. And
Yes.
folks, this will be absolutely fantastic. I'm already asking our friend.
At Twitter.
Oh, yes, I noticed. So I'm going to put up Twitter right now. All right. So we're just doing that right now. It's okay. And let me do this. And that is how you can contact her via Twitter. Oh, we've got one last comment here. Let's see who's here. Someone wants to. Great vibes. And the lady who has the 9-year-old lady, she's saying, thank you. Thank you. Great advice.
Oh, bless her.
So that is fantastic. Everybody, it was an epic conversation, and she will be back, and you can bug me or bug her. What news coming up or when you coming back? Because I wanted to have her back as whenever she wants to come back. And I think this is one of the great, we're coming to the end of the year, which is one of the great celebrations in the Black environment worldwide this year. Amen. This app. It's been a great celebration, because a lot of times when you see the people who are behind technology, they don't like the people on the screen here.
Absolutely. And representation.
So, so this is why I wanted to have her on, because this is her core. This is what she believes. And she really one of the words she used today, democratization. I love when you use that word. And Christopher is going here, hashtag Black Excellence. All right. We will see you soon. Be well, be safe, and to all your family and your team members, remember to give yourselves grace.
Thank you so much again.
My pleasure. All right, everybody. What an epic conversation that was. I'd like to thank everyone who watched this live on the replay. It's appreciated and not taken for granted. Good stuff. Really happy to finally, that took a month or two to happen, folks, but wasn't it worth it? Wasn't it worth it? So I am Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations. Again, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And also I host the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Care, and also sponsored by Dads Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. If you want to get in touch with me, the best place is here, thedrvibeshow.com. You can catch replays of my epic conversations, some more of the posts, and my contact information. Twitter-wise, at DRVIBESHOW. Instagram, the DRVIBESHOW. Website I've given you, and also Instagram, the Dr. Vibe Show. Also YouTube. Want to encourage you, please follow or subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube channel and Facebook channel, where you get updated on upcoming incredible people like Dayo, who was on today. Here we finish it off. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect, and remember to give yourselves grace. Be well, everybody.